Welcome. Welcome to our presentation today. We're going to be going over how to use online services to look at how to plan for career assessments, career resources, how to look up your degree audit to track the progress towards your degree, as well as how to create an academic plan. We're going to get started in just a second. Ryan's going to go over some of the basics of how to do a Zoom meeting.
So you can join, if you need to connect using your phone, click the arrow next to the microphone icon and select switch to phone audio. That's if you don't have audio. Looks like one of you guys are on your Galaxy Tab S4. While you wait for the web workshop to begin, try out the chat. So if you hit the chat button at the bottom there, that'll show you the chat window. If you have any questions or anything like that while the presentation's going, type them in there and I will ask them for you. Please keep your microphone muted unless you are called on to speak. What else? If you're having technical trouble or have a question, like I said, click on the chat window. Then we have house rules. Use the chat to ask questions and participate. Keep your mic and video muted. For technical issues, please post questions in the chat. And if you get, should you get disconnected, call 253-833-9111, extension 2222 for immediate help, or email the IT help desk. That's probably not gonna work right now. If you get kicked out of the meeting, try to come back in and it should let you back in.
Yeah, I would recommend that too. Just try and click on the link again.
Yes.
All right. So just a little bit of introduction. My name is Allison Warner. I'm the Director for Career and Advising, and I see we have Rico and Josh here joining us. And then Ryan, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Ryan from the Assessment and Testing Center. If you have any questions about taking your assessment test or anything associated with taking a test at Green River, I'm here to answer those questions, although this presentation is going to be more what Allison spoke about, which was career resources and, like it says on the screen, academic support resources.
Yeah. So we'll go over some of the resources and I'll demonstrate how to get to these links on the website. As you know, most of our services are now available virtually or through remote options. And there's some also like self-service services that you can get access to while you wait for spring quarter to begin. Again, ask questions if you have any along the way. There's just two of you, so this is a pretty small presentation. We can probably have time to get through this and have time for Q&A for about 15 minutes at the end. Looks like we were joined by somebody else. All right. So in this workshop, the one that you have all decided to spend your 6 to 7 o'clock hour in, you're going to learn how to access career resources. We want to, help you all make sure you know where to go if you're still exploring your interests while starting off at Green River. We'll go over how to do a degree audit. So once you know what your program of study is, you want to be able to check on their progress and review the requirements. The next phase of this is building an academic plan. So building a roadmap to finish your degree or certificate, as well as where to go to get help if you need assistance on doing that. We do recommend you connect with your advisor during this journey, and we'll show you how to look up who your advisor is. Finally, we'll go over how to look for classes using the online tools, including Class Finder, and then how to register for classes, which many of you probably have already done, but it doesn't hurt to do a little bit of a review of that. Okay, so kind of in this journey, the first stage is like, where do you want to go? So what's your end destination? Why are you at Green River and where do you want it to take you? And I guess the first place to start is exploring your career interests. Okay. So we're going to go over some of the free career resources that are available online and then talk a little bit about the ones that do cost money. We actually, though, have suspended a fee for one of our better career exploration resources that you can get free online right now, actually. So let's start first with going to the ones that you can access from home today. I'm going to go ahead and end the show and then get to the actual website so you can take a look at that. To get to the career services page, the best way to do it is just to go and click search and click on career services. Make sure you spell it correctly. Okay. And that takes you to the career resources page. And from here, you can not only schedule an appointment with Josh, who is our career specialist, but get access to the different resources that are available online. A couple of the ones that I do like and I recommend, you can join. There's two online resources you can get access to now. The first one is the Career Planner, which it's kind of a two-step process to get into that account. And then we also have Voice. And I like Voice. Voice is a nice resource for students. It allows you to look up information regarding not only careers in the region, but how much they pay and what the job outlook looks like. Now, it's probably a little bit off as of right now, but it's a pretty good resource as it also gives you access to free career assessments as well. Okay, let's take a look and see here. All right, so going in, to get into actually sign up to do a free career assessment, the one that I do recommend you consider looking into is this one here as a new student. New students and students that have 30 credits or less are able to access this, and basically it gets you access to the strong interest inventory. So if you are exploring or you're not sure what, kind of career direction you want to go, this is a really good place to start. Once you sign up, you'll be directed to signing up for a session to meet with our career specialist, and then you'll be given an email that gives you the code to access the strong interest for free from home. So again, all of this can be accessed online. So it's a good place to start to try figuring out where you want to go. Okay. My computer's a little bit slow. Okay, so the next step is after you figure out what you want to do, what you want to study, hopefully that's a pretty smooth process, is that you're able to look up the requirements for the degrees. We have several degrees and certificates at Green River College. Some are intended to transfer to the university. Others are intended to help you prepare for the workforce, so employment. And all of them you can track your progress towards by accessing the degree audit. Let's see, so I'm clicking on that. All right, so to get to the degree audit screen, you have to go into quick links. A couple ways to get there. Clicking on class registration takes you to all of the online tools that we'll be spending the rest of the time today reviewing. All right, so from degree audit, you click here under helpful tools. And degree audit allows you to look at not only the progress towards the degree that you're intending to do, but also your progress towards any one of our degrees and certificates. It does ask you to type in your student ID and your PIN number, so make sure you do that. You know those that are. Since you're all students that have probably already gotten started with us, you should have at least your student ID number. As you can see, you can check all of the requirements for all the degrees and certificates, including going back many academic years. So my recommendation is go with the most recent one. Don't try, it gets overwhelming if you try to go back and look. And plus, if you're a new student just starting, you can go off of the most recent degree requirements. As you can see, it starts off with the AA Associate in Arts degree, which is our most popular degree at Green River College. If you click on it, you can do Run Audit, and it should pop up with all of the requirements for that degree, as well as any requirements that have been fulfilled. This is our example student Ed Planner. So Ed has not completed any requirements, but as you can see, the list of requirements are listed here, and if Ed had finished any requirements, then there would have been a green check mark next to that area. Again, and you can run audit for multiple degrees and certificates. We recommend students do this every quarter. After you register for your classes, it's just a good idea to double check to see how your classes are fulfilling the different requirements for your degree. And if you do see any ending up in unused down below, then that's a flag. You should be making sure that the course you're taking, if it's not a prerequisite for a higher level course you need to take, then question if it's a course you should take for your degree. And just to kind of elaborate on that, the English 97 is a good example that this is a course that Ed Planner, our fictitious student, is enrolled in for spring. And as you can see, it doesn't say that it fulfills the requirement. However, this course is a prerequisite for a higher level course that's required for this degree. So because it's a prerequisite, it doesn't count towards the degree, but it's still a course you need to take. So there any questions?
Yeah, just one question.
Yeah.
So if you could go back to the Associates in Arts Direct Transfer,
Mm-hmm.
and then under the requirement of social science, it talks about the minimum of 15 credits in 3 separate areas.
Yeah.
And then there's also another section where it talks about 2 separate areas with a 200 level course requirement.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah. It's just gets deeper and deeper in the confusion. So for social sciences, specifically for the AADTA, you can take 3 classes from 3 separate areas, and each area is considered a different like course prefix. So like you could take anthropology, AIMS, and geography, and that would be great. Now for students that are really deep into a specific content area, let's say you love history, you want to take lots of history, you could take 2 history courses and apply them towards social sciences, as long as one of those 2 courses is a 200 level course. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
And actually 2 of them could be 200 level courses, and that's fine if they're from the same area. So yeah, 15 credits from 2 separate areas with a 200 level course required within the 2 course emphasis. Yeah.
Okay, so just confirming, let's say it was political science 101 and then political science 202. Would those both count towards social science?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, and if there was some form of mistake on this degree audit, where do we go to ask for advice?
Talk to your advisor. And that would be the best place to start, because if there is something quirky going on with the degree audit, then the advisor can go to the registrar's office, and they're the ones that actually manage this. There are some quirky things that happen with the audit, some things we cannot change, but at the end of the day, if there is a quirky thing and it's brought to the attention of your advisor and to our registrar's office, and it's not going to impact your ability to finish if you are meeting all the requirements.
Okay,
if
thank
that
you.
makes sense. Yeah. Great questions. Any more questions about degree audit? Okay. While I'm on the topic of where to go for help, let's take a look and see here. I'm going to go back to the main website so that I can navigate you through this. So under quick links, under class registration, if you do have questions or want assistance on not only your degree audit, but the next part of this presentation is going over how to make an academic plan, you want to connect to your advisor. All students should be assigned to an advisor. Either if you're in your first year, you might be assigned to an advisor in the Career and Advising Center, if you're a transfer student especially, transferring to university. But once you do decide on your program of study, we try to assign you to a faculty advisor, so someone who's an expert in that area. So all of you, you can probably do this at home if you have access to the computer right now to see if you have an advisor assigned to you. If you don't have an advisor, then we want to assist you with getting one. So Ed Planner does not have an advisor assigned. We need to make sure he does. But if he was to have an advisor assigned, the information would be listed here, including how to get a hold of his advisor. Okay. And contact information, office hours if it's a faculty advisor. And you can change your advisor at any time by just contacting the Career and Advising Center. Okay. We do recommend that you see your advisor every quarter just to make sure that you're on track, especially if you have questions on your degree audit. And then also to meet with your advisor early on. Once you've identified your program of study in your first couple quarters, we want you to meet with your advisor to map out your academic plan. And that's really the next part of this journey, is once you know what you want to do, you know where you want to go, and you know how to get there, and the tools you need to map it out. You need to map out your course sequences so you know what classes to take. So students can create an academic plan through EdPlan. And you can co-create this with your advisor. All right. Again, these all require that you know your student ID and your PIN number. I'm going to use Ed again. Ed has lots of plans. You can create a plan by simply selecting New Plan. And that's why it's important to know how to access your degree audit first, because you need to know what the requirements are for your degree before you go in and map it out. And this is where an advisor can be of assistance, because sitting down with your advisor, they can help you identify when courses are offered, what the prereqs are for courses. Some courses are sequential. You need to take one before the other. So that's why it's important. I'm just going to give this plan a new name, calling Spring Training, create the plan, and then to get started, you need to add the academic year. So what year? We're going to go off of the 1920 because spring quarter is part of the end of the academic year. And to start adding classes to your plan, you simply click Add Class to Spring. The way that this works is the classes listed here that you can choose from are theoretically the classes that are being offered based on what based on the annual schedule. So if you try to add a class to this, it's not going to be offered. It will not let you add it in theory. This is a kind of a funky quarter, as we know. Some classes that we were going to offer may not be offered because they're not compatible with an online format. So this could be not completely accurate for spring. But you can enter in as many courses as you want. If you don't know the course name, but you just want to filler in because you know you need to take, let's say, a natural science lab, you can stick that one in as well. And then click Add Class. The nice thing about this is that your advisor has access to this on their end through their advisor dashboard. So you create this, then they can go and take a look at it. They can also create a plan on their end and share it with you. So that's the nice thing about it. And then if your advisor has, if you have notes for your advisor, you can add those in there. Okay, so we've gone over Ed Plan, My Advisor, Degree Audit, and then a few of the other tools I'll be going over is how to register, including Class Finder. Before I go there, I wanted to go into a couple of the new resources that are available starting this quarter. If you guys have questions this quarter, the majority of student services will be available through what we call the virtual assistance lobbies, which I imagine some of you have already actually accessed that if you've made it to this presentation. So if you have questions and need to get a hold of someone, not only can you look up your advisor's information online through My Advisor, but you can get assistance through the virtual students assistance, like virtual lobbies that have been created. And these are basically Zoom meetings that are open all day from usually 8 to 5 o'clock daily. You can get access to advising, the registrar, cashiering, financial aid, testing, as well as Running Start and DSS, Veterans Trio, Student Life, IP. It's great. So if you need immediate assistance, just click on one of these Zoom meetings and you can get access into a virtual lobby where there's a staff member there to help you. Okay. In addition to virtual assistance to get a hold of career and advising, you can also make appointments online on our website. So basically, if you just go to students and go to, let's see. I just don't, this website drives me crazy. Go to advising. And then all of the advising centers are located here on the right-hand column. You can actually get access to multiple advising centers that way, make appointments online, so schedule an advising appointment, so which could be in the form of a phone appointment or a Zoom meeting as well. Okay, so just giving you a little bit additional resources to make contact if you have questions between now and the end of spring quarter, and hopefully we'll be back on campus before spring quarter ends in the next couple weeks. Or next month. So in addition to Degree Audit, which shows you how to track the progress towards your degree and make an academic plan, you also can use online services to search for classes. I'm assuming most of you have already attempted to do this, but if not, Class Finder is a great tool. It makes it so much easier to search for classes based on trying to fulfill a requirement for, let's say, any of the transfer degrees. Okay, looking up a specific class that's available under a certain area and department. You can also search for classes that are only open. So if you're trying to find a social science, they would fulfill a social science for the AA degree. You can keep all departments open if you're not sure which area you're interested in, and then click on Open Classes Only. This will show you all of those that are still available online, or just available in general for spring quarter. Everything's online this right now in the spring, so you'll see that's what's available. And there are lots of classes still available, so now is a great time to be going to school. you get your pick. To navigate from class finder to registration, you need to know the item number of the course. So the 4-digit item number located here is what you would need to be able to go from selecting the class you want to registering online. So let's say I wanted to take AIMS 100 online with Carlos Adams, Section A, plenty of seat openings, 0199 is the item number. If I click on Register Online, it's going to take me right back to the registration page. Click on Registration, Online Registration. Once again, you'll be asked to put in your student ID and PIN number. And make sure you choose spring. I don't know why it's still defaulting to winter, but we're going to change that. And it puts you into class registration, where it looks like I'm already in a class. So I'm going to drop myself from that class. To drop the class, you simply put in the item number right here. Press Submit, Add, Drop. Yes, I'm going to drop the class. And then if I wanted to add the other class identified through Class Finder, I simply type in the item number here, okay? So adding and dropping classes online, pretty self-explanatory. Well, honestly, that is all I have for you today, unless you have some specific questions. But if you do, after you leave the presentation, you have questions and you want to ask them, we'll be available tomorrow in the virtual assistance lobby for current advising. Happy to help you then.